Today I'm going to talk about three pretty popular bands: Katatonia, Anathema, and A Perfect Circle. So we'll start off with Katatonia. They're a Swedish band that formed in Stockholm in 1999, and they started off as a more extreme death, black, doom mixture for their first album and EP. But through the years, they would slowly both commercialize and streamline their sound, but sometimes for the better. One of their earliest albums, Brave Murder Day, that's my first or second favorite. Just brought in a lot of goth and dark wave influence. It's an amazing album, a 10 out of 10, and I recommend you check that one out. And I'd also say that the best thing they've done besides that is probably Last Fair Deal Gone Down. I think of their slightly more commercial things, that's their best release. So Brave Murder Day and Last Fair Deal Gone Down, those are the best ones. And I do not have a lot of Katatonia albums. Unfortunately, I was really into them at a time when I bought a lot of things on iTunes, which you regret. I mean, as years go on, you probably would have rather spent the extra $5 and had the CD forever. Especially when old computers go away and you lose access to an account and stuff you paid for is gone forever. You might have it on a CD, but they don't last too long either, these CDRs. But anyways, the earliest album I own by them is this one. It's The Great Cold Distance. Mine got water damage some along the way, but the disc plays fine. It's one of those cool ones with the black underneath. This came out on Peaceville in 2006, and I recall reviews at the time being very mixed on this one. People didn't think it was as good as the prior three albums. But history's been kind to this. I do think that many people consider this one of the best albums. And when I listen to it now, I'm also inclined to agree that's one of the better ones. And after this point, Katatonia would be on a bit of a decline, if you ask me. The one after this, Night is the New Day, solid. But, and the brand new one, what's that called? Sky Void of Stars. That's a bit of a return to form as well. But nothing since this has been great to me. But speaking of which, this is 3 albums ago, still on Peaceville. This is 2016. This is The Fall of Hearts. And again, this is a solid album of later Katatonia, but it's just not very memorable to me. A couple songs were better than others, but it did not really stand out. Let's go to Anathema, formed in 1999 in Liverpool, England. And they follow a similar trajectory to Katatonia in that they start as a extreme death doom band and will both commercialize and streamline their sound as the years went on. Now, Anathema's first album, Serenades, and was it Crestfallen? 2 good releases. But the first album that showed a big change in style was Eternity. And as the years have gone on, I've decided that that's their best album. Pretty popular songs, but the Beloved and Angelica, those albums, do they ever bring me back to being a teenager? Just can bring you to the point of tears almost. Just very emotional music. Don't know how I don't have that on CD. I think I bought it 3-4 times over the years digitally. But besides Eternity, this one here, Judgment, is probably the next best album. This came out on Music for Nations in 1999. I love this album cover. And this album here is definitely a 10 out of 10. The first song, Deep, that has one of my favorite guitar solos ever. Destiny is Dead. The outro, 2000 and Gone. One Last Goodbye. It's a little, almost too much to bear. It's very sad, but but it's amazing. Can't recommend it enough. A couple albums later, in 2004, you have A Natural Disaster. It's not as sad as Judgment, but it's still pretty much shed its metal roots. A little bit more proggy. I don't love this album, but I like it. And their last album was called The Optimist. That came out in 2017, and that was pretty much pure progressive rock. It was fine, but nothing I'm going to listen to very often. And from what I understand, Anathema are now on hiatus. One of the Kavanaugh brothers seems to be in a bad place in life, unfortunately. And the other brother has started a new group. I think it's called... actually, I shouldn't say because I forget. Sorry about the weather. But... Weather Systems, after one of their albums. I think that's what it was. I saw Anathema one time live. Kind of. I went mostly because Alcest was opening, and I did like Anathema, but there was a comedy club pretty much across the street from the venue, and we were friends with the owner, and something was going on that night that we just thought we'd have a better time at. And when we had more money to actually buy a ticket and just walk out a third of the way through a show, those days are long gone. But it's a fun night nevertheless. And Anathema will always have my respect. And finally, we have A Perfect Circle, a rock band from LA, formed in 1999. And the founding member is Billy Howerdel, along with Maynard James Keenan from Tool on vocals. So this is the debut album, Mur de Norms. And besides Maynard on vocals, it does remind me of accessible Tool. If Tool made more straightforward rock songs, it might sound something similar to this, but this album's probably a 9.5 out of 10. The Hollow and Judith are probably my favorite songs, even though they are definitely known as the two big songs on here, I'd say. There's the disc there. And definitely a masterpiece of the late 90s for sure. The second album, 13th Step, this came out in 2003. And I like this one, but this is more of a 7 out of 10. Unremarkable, but good. And following this, they put out an album called Emotive, which I always thought was just considered an EP. And I do see it out there being spoken of as the third full length, but it's mostly cover songs, so not only am I not too interested in cover songs, but I wouldn't consider a collection of cover songs to be an album by any means. But a couple years ago, they'd finally put out their, I guess 20 years in the making, almost, full length, Eat the Elephant. And it was a totally different sound. I went into it with an open mind, but 3 listens and I was over it. Not even one song did I take away as being a standout. Again, a totally different thing, and it wasn't really for me. But Katatonia, Anathema, and A Perfect Circle, definitely some good bands to discover if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. Bye.